live from downtown State College.
Welcome into the Landon Tangwall live. I don't know why this is happening. Why do we deserve this? But I'm here with Chris Buchignani, and we're just going to talk about things. How you doing, Booch?
I am doing great.
Yeah?
Landon, I am taking a cue from my co-host, Mike the Mailman. I never had a bad day.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad. We needed some positivity in here. Thank you so much.
Happy birthday, by the way. Happy 80th. The big 8-0 to Mike the Mailman.
Mike the Mailman. That's big time. Go buy his pamphlet. That's really big time stuff.
What a birthday gift you could give to the beloved campus icon himself.
There you go.
Or buy his stupid book.
Before we try to go inside the mind of Pat Kraft and talk about what the hell he's thinking, what is going on, can you explain what our thumbnail is today? Because I'm a Gen Z younger person. My referencing isn't as good. Sarah's trying to get it better. So
I appreciate that. We're trying to school you up.
We're trying to learn. Gen Z has
pop culture.
Yeah. There's no referencing anywhere for Gen Z. It's horrific, but I'm trying my best. What is our thumbnail? What is that?
So it's the Being John Malkovich poster, which was even kind of a deep cut for me that our producer threw in front of us. But if you haven't seen it, I cannot describe the film to you. It is one of one. Okay.
And, well, the idea of the film was that everybody was like inside his like mind, and they were like being. Is that what? I haven't seen John Malkovich. I don't know.
Yeah, to describe the plot is crazy. Basically, there's like a physical tunnel that takes you inside the mind of John Malkovich, and John Malkovich, the actor, plays himself. It's wild.
Okay.
It's right. 2 hours at some point.
No, okay, it's not actually. It does seem like it is, but it makes for a good thumbnail. So shout out our producer. Where are you at? Where's your panic level right now? If you're first, give me Pat Kraft. If you're Pat Kraft, and he knows more than we obviously know, where would you assert his panic level? And then give me your panic level too. Just Chris Buchignani.
Sure. Well, here's the beauty of it. It's kind of the way I opened the obligatory podcast that just dropped. I've been praising Pat up and down through this whole process on how masterfully he's kept a lid on the details of his plan. And it is now becoming more and more evident to me that it is possible. The only way you could be 100% certain no one knows the details of your plan is if there is no plan. So on a 10-point scale, I think at this point, it's one of two things. I'm either a 1, because I know this is on total lockdown, and I'm about to step in front of the assembled crowd in the Penn State media room and pull a rabbit out of my hat and be hailed as a genius, or I'm a 9.5 and I'm shopping for Depends. That's if I'm Pat Kraft, right?
Okay. I
am probably, and I like to think I'm a pretty level-headed guy. I try to do a lot of mindfulness and meditation stuff. I'm like, at this point, a 6.5.
All right, that's not too bad.
Because I figure a 5 median is, it could go this way or it could go that way, right? But after the last 48 hours, and just some of the names that are coming out and the crumble cookie fiasco and everything, I am starting to think, but maybe there's no plan. Maybe we're just totally effed. And then I just have to default to my belief, which is still pretty strong, thus only a 6.5, that Penn State's strong and resilient. It's going to be fine.
That we're just going to find a way.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah, we'll be all
right.
Might
take a little bit longer.
I was ready. I was sitting out. I thought it was going to get announced yesterday. Like I thought we were moving, and to just get this 50-day lull where everybody's just waiting, and we get to Sunday and it's rising up, and then it's Monday and it's like, oh my God, like it's here, it's going to happen, and then we just get rug pulled, and it's like, oh, he might go back to BYU, he might stay there. For everybody asking, we had a donation. Thank you for the donation. Completely conflicting reports. Some people that I've talked to have said Pat Kraft is still fully confident that Kalani Sitake is going to come to Penn State, and that it might not be until after the Big 12 championship game. And some people, especially the BYU reporters, are generally coming out and saying they think he is going to stay and remain at BYU. Booch, remember where we were 50 days ago? Not 51 days ago when we fired James Franklin. 50 days ago when Pat Kraft got up in the media room at Beaver Stadium, and oh my God, was there support. I mean, you remember what Twitter looked like? It was like, I'm going to run through a wall. Pat Kraft, he's got us. I'd say like 80% of the fan base wants him fired right now, judging, well, at least Facebook and Twitter, that is. I mean, what do you were there. What give me the vibe. What were the vibes then compared to now for you?
It was a great, inspiring, unifying moment. Pat followed by Terry was great. It was like first you got the pump up speech from Pat. And he is a great speaker. He's a good motivator. I wanted to go put pads on when he was done talking. And then Terry gets up, and as we've talked about throughout his tenure here as the interim, he's just straightforward and no BS and authentic, and you can tell the guy just bleeds blue and white. And it was everything you needed. It was chicken soup for the Penn State fan's soul after Pat gets you all ready to get pumped up for we're going to go get the best coach on the market and everything's going to be fine. And I think that is part of the problem. Pat didn't come out and say, hey, everybody, in so many words, you're getting Urban Meyer. But he pretty much said that, right? Like what people read out of that was, we're getting Urban Meyer, we're getting Kalen DeBoer, we're getting Marcus Freeman. And, those are tough pulls. And he's clearly struck out in that department, probably. And then he gets offered this miraculous off-ramp that just falls into his lap as we just wax Wisconsin and Beaver Stadium and everyone's chanting Terry Smith's name and he doesn't take that. And so now the dude is in a corner and he's backed into it by, of all people, the CEO of Crumble Cookies. It is just the reason why, despite all the things that have been stripped out of it in the last 5 years, college football is still the best sport on earth.
There we go. You know what? There's some parallels between Pat Kraft and James Franklin here in the sense of both set wildly high expectations for what they had going on. James Franklin gets up at Big Ten Media Day, and this is the greatest, personnel, players, everything I've ever had. We're going for it. And we all know where we're sitting now. We're sitting here for a reason, and that's why he was fired. And now Pat Kraft, it seemingly set very, very high expectations for the type of head coaching search he was going to conduct. And like you said, it was, we're going to go get a dude. We're going to get a guy. And that's why everybody's morale was so high. And even though we all knew that nothing was going to get announced till at least November 29th, November 30th.
Yeah.
It was starting to get long. It was starting to get tiresome. And now here we sit, and it's like, first off, it's hard to sell. And if we do get Kalani Sitake, who knows? He might be a great coach. I'll be excited to meet him. Seems like a fantastic guy.
Yeah.
But you can't sell to me that was number 1, number 2, number 3 on the list. Like I said, we don't know Pat Kraft's list, but this was a bit of a blunder. And now I guess my biggest question is, does this fall more on Pat Kraft, or did we as fans and Pat Kraft all have somewhat unreasonable expectations for what Penn State would be able to get, for a head coach right now, especially in what is the most challenging college football calendar to date in college football history, especially when you're in a circumstance that Penn State is in. It's such an unfriendly calendar that maybe does that scare off some of these coaches?
That's got to be one of the concerns, right? Because if you're somebody who's like a Bob Chesney who's about to get your shot, or you're somebody who's in a pretty comfortable situation and you're at least toying with the idea of moving on from it, you look at the roster situation at Penn State and you say, man, with each day, really without each hour that goes by, that gets less and less attractive. The degree of difficulty goes up. I got people here who are willing to pay me more, often because Jimmy Sexton has engineered it behind the scenes. Maybe I just don't want to go deal with that. Yeah, but to go back to your point about who's at fault, look, it is everybody. I just want to make clear, I don't care about splash hire at all. Splash hires go bad all the time. In fact, I think in some ways they have potential to go bad at a higher rate than the guy who's not exciting in January but wins games in the fall, right? So I'm not worried about that personally. There is a portion of the fan base that wants that. They want the brand name hire. And the reality of it is that unlike any other sport, your fan and booster enthusiasm has a practical consequence attached to it because, I talk about this all the time. I've never seen an introductory press conference botched worse than Nick Sirianni's in Philadelphia. But then Jeff Lurie didn't have to turn around and ask the fans to pay Jalen Hurts' salary, right?
Right.
Which Pat Kraft is going to. And so, yeah, it's a little bit folks' fault for getting sucked into the trap of expecting a big name. But when you're Pat Kraft, part of your job when you're managing a search like this is managing expectations. So that does fall back on him. And there's no way that those guys are not cognizant of where the expectations were being set and how it was probably falling short of that bar behind the scenes.
But like I said earlier, that's why I compared it to, like, it should have been a lesson to Kraft. Like, oh, maybe let's not set expectations high because we just did that. And that was part of the reason. I mean, it was our expectations were going to be high because we knew what this year was for James Franklin. But it was just the buildup of it, and just everybody fell into it. And my God.
Every time either one of us is talking, the other one gets a chance to look at the chat and just starts laughing.
Oh, yeah, the chat here. I mean, you frequent the chat here when you're not in here.
Yes,
it's a fantastic chat. We love you, chat. Candor Outdoors, thank you for the donation. Booch and Tang, if you had to guess, what is Kraft doing at this exact moment? Is he sitting in his office calling 100 coaches or just crying?
Here's the problem, probably both. That's why it's not going well.
Well, let me ask you this question. Should Pat Kraft, Saturday night, and the clock was ticking, once we got through Sunday evening, this opportunity was off the table, Pat Kraft had the opportunity to be the hero and just say, you know what? And it fell in his lap. He didn't even have to. He could still be panicking on the inside. And Saturday night, he said, you know what? Terry Smith is going to be our guy. We're moving forward. In his mind, he's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if we're going to be able to land Kalani Sitake, any of these other guys. So I'm going to go with the sure thing. Let's try to salvage signing day a little bit, and let's get moving on the transfer portal and starting to recruit guys. Should he have taken the out? And to many, especially the people that are important that have a lot of money, would have been happy with that Terry Smith hire. You think he should have taken that out?
Yeah, I know a lot of people will agree with me when I say yes, and there are a lot of other people out there who think that's lunacy, and I respect the difference of opinion. There are no guarantees out there. People have asked me about how I think Pat's handling all of this. And again, one thing, let me just pause and say, I don't want to try the guy in the court of public opinion before we get the final decision.
Yeah.
Like, let's see how all of this plays out. There are still some people, and probably I'm sure for you too, who are swearing up and down to me that he's got the rabbit in his hat and you just have to be patient and everything's got to be under wraps and everyone's going to be thrilled at the end of the search. And I don't discount that's a possibility, kind of like I don't discount that it's possible that ghosts exist. I've just never seen one in my life. Although it's quite possible the ghost of Jopan knocked that ball out of Ethan Kaliakmanis' hand, because I have no rational explanation for it.
No,
but
not at all.
It's possible. So I'm not going to sit here and tell everybody I think Pat Kraft is a buffoon, because I just don't know. We'll see. We'll find out soon enough. I'm going to tell you that I think the percentage chance that he's a buffoon is higher than I thought it was a week ago. But who knows? Who knows, right? And so people have asked me about the way he's managing the search. And I've said it's tough for me to say because my theory of organizational leadership is so different from his. I can't even wrap my brain around it. Like, if I were in Pat Kraft's position, walking off the field after the Nebraska game, I would have looked around and thought, man, there are moments in life where the good Lord teaches you humility. And I thought I knew more than everybody. And my customers are telling me that no, in fact, they know more about my product than I do, and I am just going to be smart enough to listen to my customers, who frankly have way more skin in this game than I do. And I'd get my team together and I'd be like, everybody, the last stage of Terry Smith's job interview is beating Rutger. And I don't care how he does it. I can't hire the guy if he loses to the Scarlet Knights in Piscataway. But as long as we finish at all zeros with more points than Rutgers got, I am going into the locker room and I'm handing the game ball to the next head coach of Penn State football. And then Sunday morning, we are hitting the ground running. We are calling recruits. We are re-recruiting the entire locker room that is going to go berserk when I make that announcement and is going to think I am great because I gave them what they wanted. We're going to be calling donors, and we are going to crank the groundswell of blue and white pride to 11 for a week, and we're just going to ring the cash register. So go, you got 1 week. Get the plan in place and come back to me with your action plans. And that's what I would have done. And instead, like, Pat kind of half-heartedly patted Katron Allen on the ass as he walked off the field because he gave him a higher Terry Smith sign. So I don't know. Who knows? Again, the dude is in a position where he is at the end of this thing either going to appear to be the smartest, wiliest, most strategic figure in intercollegiate athletics, or he's going to be the second biggest horse's ass in all of college football. Lane Kiffin exists.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
It's fascinating. If I take a little anthropological distance from the whole thing, I mean, it is just amazingly curious to watch it play out. And then I remember that it's my baby getting thrown out with the bathwater, and then I wish I should put a little of that whiteout tequila in my G-Shop coffee.
It's no longer fun. Pat Kraft is lost. Thank you for the donation. Breaking Pat Kraft steps down as PSU.
My buddy sent me somebody started an official Penn State athletic director search thread on one of the message boards.
Right.
So basically like insinuating.
Yeah. God. By the way, whoever managed that Pat Kraft AD Twitter account, that was in it for the long haul.
Oh, man.
That was in it because he was retweeting like Penn State, like just athletic posts. And so he was in it for the long. He was building it up, and then released a tweet. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I mean, good on
whoever you are, like respect.
Yeah.
That is the long game.
I'm going to say right now, I don't think it was anybody under the age of 30 because I don't think they would have the mental capacity,
the
attention span to let it go. They would have wanted the joke to release quicker. There was before one of the games, they did put a little sprinkle out
the Dairy Queen blizzard.
He was having a Dairy Queen with Andy Kotelnick.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody who knows their way around Twitter, who's been in this game for a long time, that's when they're like, okay, buddy. But all the people who see me tweet that we should hire Mel Tucker or Tom Allen, they were like, oh, this is Pat Kraft. That's his official account.
They've been going after you for some of your troll tweets. When I saw the Mel, I mean, I was like, how does anybody think that's even remotely real? Then you've started to go obscure. You're posting people's names I don't even know, and it's honestly getting impressive. I'll be real with you. Durpans, thank you for the donation. I'm going to lose it for the love of Christ. Call Manny Diaz. We're going to be rooting on our guy. We're going to be rooting on our guy here. 5-loss Duke in the ACC championship. Good job.
How can you not like college football? How can you not like it?
College, I mean, we got Lane Kiffin getting just not only booed off the tarmac, I mean, just borderline assalted off the tarmac. You got Crumble Cookies CEO trying to body Pat Kraft for his head coach. You could go down the list, and all those reasons are why NFL is not even close to college football. So, there was a conversation in the chat, and everybody's been talking about this. No one. It seems no one can fully confirm who Kalani Sitake's agent actually is. We don't know if it's Sexton, whatever. Now, shout out to our producer. Very interesting fact here. There has been no head coach that has been at a school that's represented by one agent, and that guy's fired, and the next guy that's already replaced is represented by that same agent. Every single guy where a school, that guy's been fired and someone else has came in, it's been a different representation of the coach that was there versus the coach that then replaced him. So, saying all that to say, we had a Sexton client in James Franklin, so that would not fit the mold of that process if we were to get another Sexton client.
But there have been a number of Sexton clients who have used the vacancy at Penn State to leverage contract extensions and more money from the schools they're at. So keep in mind, Jimmy takes a percentage of every one of those deals. So he is getting paid over and over again by this Penn State vacancy. And there was a report by Todd McShay on the Bill Simmons podcast. Shout out Zach Seiko, who drew it to my attention when he tweeted it out, that Jimmy Sexton has his personal contempt for Pat Kraft and is intentionally sabotaging this search. Now, I'm curious about your thoughts about that because I've had people kind of argue just sort of the logic and the logistics of that to me, and I can see it both ways, but I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, because some people say there's no way someone's going to keep their client just because they don't like an AD. They're going to keep their client from getting a big time job like Penn State. Well, I think there is some truth to that. If one of Sexton's clients is like, I want Penn State, I want the job, he's not going to stop them. But I think what likely is happening that we cannot confirm because we're not even though we're trying to go inside the mind of Pat Kraft, we're not inside the mind of Jimmy Sexton. Seems like no one is because he absolutely rules college football. You want to talk about a college football commissioner? It might as well be Jimmy Sexton at this point. I mean, he's taking us to town. But I think what he's saying to some of his guys is likely what I would assume is, hey, I just dealt with a guy that was there for 12 years. You don't want to go with that administration. You don't want to go with that AD. It didn't work out well for my last guy. It was handled poorly. There were all these reasons, X, Y, Z, as to why you don't want to go there and be the next head coach there. And they're saying, okay, we'll listen to you, Jimmy, but we're going to use this job as leverage. And it's like, all right, go ahead.
Sure.
So I think that's how he could be more used. I think people say, no, he's not going to let any of his guys go there. It's not all the way the truth, but there could be some advising from Sexton that, hey, my last guy was there, and it ended very poorly, and the way they treated us, blah, blah, blah. Because as we saw, that was completely orchestrated by Sexton, where Nick Saban just assaulted us on national TV, basically calling us ungrateful, while Herbie and everybody else that's also rep by CAA just said, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And, forget about that UCLA and Northwestern stuff. Who cares about that?
And everybody is a little more dialed in on it now because it's the end of the season and the Lane Kiffin story has been so dominating college football headlines for so long. Everyone now is really seeing that effect with the way College Game Day dealt with Lane Kiffin. So, yeah, the Emperor's not wearing any clothes, and more people are seeing that. I'll say this about Sexton and his feud with Pat Kraft or whatever. You think back, James Franklin was originally represented by Trace Armstrong.
Correct.
Who any of the OGs out there will maybe remember long ago as kind of a busted first-round pick of the Chicago Bears.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Kind of resurrected his career with the Dolphins a little bit, but then found second life as a pretty successful sports agent. And he worked us over pretty good, too.
Oh, he did,
representing James.
2021, that was his contract.
Yeah, and then James fired Trace Armstrong because if you are somebody who wants to think of yourself as being among the best of the best, Jimmy's the guy who's viewed as the killer. You join that club, and you're in a club with the best. You're with Nick Saban, right? You're with Kirk Herbstreit.
I got to correct myself. Brands. Sorry, it was he fired James fired Armstrong, and then he hired Sexton, and 2 months later, a month later, he got the contract.
It was the extension before that one that Armstrong negotiated. It's easy to forget because he used Florida State and USC both times.
Can we? I mean, I just as a player, I knew about it, but 2021, that was the funniest part. We heard rumors Franklin was he was out of there. I think he was out of there, and then we had the loss at Iowa, and then we had the bye week, and then we had the 9 overtime loss to Illinois and Brett Bielema, and it just got a rug pulled out from under him, and he was staying at State College for a little bit longer.
Brett just rolls in with one of the worst rosters in the conference, but a ton of piss and vinegar and 9 offensive linemen, and just puts the clown makeup right on James.
They really did bring out 9 offensive linemen. I mean, what a day that was.
Yeah, ridiculous. Sorry. But so he makes that switch from Trace to Jimmy Sexton because it's you get in that club. You're in the elite club, and part of it is they want to feel like they are with the guy who runs the sport. And can't you see, if you're Jimmy Sexton and you're kind of in the club and one member of the club just got done dirty by Penn State, and he's telling everybody this Pat Kraft, he's in over his head, he's a minor leaguer playing in the big leagues. You know what? I'm going to make an example of this guy. And it's going to help all of you because I'm going to let the whole industry know, which, by the way, is run by academics, university presidents, all these boards of trustees squabbling with each other. I'm going to let everybody know. You see what I just did to the AD of Penn State? He's going to come walking out with Pat Kraft's head, the blood still dripping down. And and throw it on the floor and say, I just want you all to know. I just want you all to see what I just did. So just remember this the next time you want to screw with one of my clients and then walk out of the room.
If we don't land Kalani Sitake, that's going to be the next thumbnail, although that we'll probably get demonetized for that one. Just Jimmy Sexton holding Pat Kraft's head. Oh, please,
maybe we can have him holding one of those popsicle stick masks from the thumbnail on this one.
There we go. Exactly.
Split
Booch,
the difference.
We have essentially forfeited the 2026 recruiting class. We are going.
We would have 0. That's amazing. It's never been done.
It'll be the first ever.
Yeah.
It'll be the first. And once again,
precedent-setting leadership.
Right. And that's the reason we're going to have 0. And we'll probably get a couple guys in February. Would be my guess. Whatever coach comes in, he's going to try to get some type of scraps. There is 2 signing periods. February used to be the only one. They brought in early signing day, and they keep pushing it up, and it's just ridiculous. Yeah, 0. Maybe. By the way, if Jackson Ford signs tomorrow to Penn State, build him a statue. Build him a statue real quick.
We'll mention him with Christian Hackenberg and Adam Brenneman.
There we go.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Garrett Sickles, too.
I wish if I had an opportunity I know no recruit could understand how much love they would get for doing that. I hope someone that is that young, that'd be awesome if they could understand what that would do for them in life.
Oh, I said 2 weeks ago, right after the Nebraska game, I said if I were advising Penn State's top recruiting target, I would tell that guy, just announce right now you're committing to Penn State. None of this matters. If you want to go somewhere else, you can go as soon as January. But the pop you will get for your brand by being the first one to say, guys, I'm in, I'm a Nittany Lion, you will be beloved by these people forever if you stay there. And you'll still make a little money up front if you decide you're just going to, stab them in the back come January in the transfer portal. Like, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you do it?
Go for it. Please, someone help us, save us. No, it's going to be, so yeah, I mean, no one has ever had, even if we have one recruit, I don't think that's ever been done. I wonder what are the long-term effects of that? Because I tweeted out about a month ago, early November, and I said, I expect 70-plus transfer portal guys. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's, such an exaggeration. I got called a yellow journalist, all this stuff.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
People didn't look at the roster?
I guess not.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So I was looking at it yesterday. You and I were talking about it a little bit. So there's roughly 30 kids who are going to be gone because their eligibility is up.
Right.
And then Venga Ioane still has eligibility, but he's going to be a first-round pick, I think, or definitely second round. So he's gone. He's gone to the NFL. Howie, please, the guy with the great midnight green. After that, looking down the roster, I think there are between 50 to 53 what you would consider high-value targets, any of whom individually you would say, if I look at kind of where they're from and what I know about them and who might be in their ear trying to get them to jump, could be a little bit more likely to leave than to stay. And so even if 50% of those guys hit the transfer portal, you're looking at 50-plus open roster positions. And it could be a lot more.
And you got 105 lockers to fill.
Correct.
And you're going to have virtually no one in your freshman class. I mean, let's just be clear, too. I don't think it might not be 70 because I don't even know if Penn State will have the ability to have 105 people on this roster next year. Like, it might just be too much. Like, I don't think you can honestly even take 70 guys out of a transfer portal. Like, I don't even know how possible that is.
Which might actually be good news for those guys because that revenue sharing money has got to go somewhere. just pay fewer guys more money.
There you go.
Hell, Bill O'Brien won 8 games with 70 kids on the roster.
God help us, please. Oh my gosh, I think we missed a couple donations. Oh, a little Tyler Warren profile picture. Kotelnicki for head coach. No, I'm not reading the rest of that. You're already done. How's that guy still our offensive coordinator? Hey, get that. Hey, we didn't forget about you, buddy. Get the hell out of here. Sorry, I didn't mean to be that rude, but please get him out of here. Sending Fat Kraft crumble cookies for Christmas. Oh my God.
Hey, I did see a comment on the chat before that I wanted to bring up, that we can thank James Franklin for some of his staffers who were for a while on the Penn State payroll, are now on the Virginia Tech payroll for torpedoing this recruiting class. Now, look, I had a conversation with a few folks offline about this. There is no question there was a little hanky-panky going on. Like somebody at some point violated their terms of employment. So what they were doing wasn't just unethical. It was literally illegal. But if you're Penn State, I hear some people saying, Penn State should take it to court. I really don't think so. I think that would be an unwise move by Penn State. Your thoughts?
No, listen, that was to be expected anyway.
You got to give, number one, that's cost of doing business. Number two, do you really want to publicly admit that you let the dude pants you for multiple weeks before you caught on?
Yeah, I
don't want to Streisand effect.
Yeah, it's like a company, if they find their employee stealing stuff, they'll just fire him and they're not going to report it because they don't want that in the news.
Oh, right.
Same exact thing, stealing our recruits. But that's what I expected. I think we knew the entire time. As soon as Franklin got fired, that was his staff. That's his staff still. They're not, their hopes and dreams ride on James Franklin. And is he going to take me with him? And so, of course, they were recruiting for him and against Penn State while they were still in the last football building. I mean, that only makes sense. He had been here
for 12 years. His personality, and unfortunately, I'm starting to fear he has this in common with Pat Kraft. I talked about James could never put the name on the front of the jersey over the one in the back. He always wanted the brand of Penn State to be James Franklin. And again, I think it might be that Pat wants the brand of Penn State to be Pat Kraft, and that's a problem. It could be that we want to believe that James is the bad guy and Pat's the good guy. Could be there's just two bad guys.
That's what I was going to say, because on October 13th, when Pat got up there, it was very much that is the almighty great guy and James Franklin is the evildoer. But I don't know. Did we have a situation that we didn't all fully?
And we'll see. But James gets here with that mentality, and because of the state of the program coming out of the scandal and the sanctions, it was a blank slate for him to just kind of put his people everywhere. And he's been here for 12 years. So a good portion of the people in the building were not so much Penn State people, they were James Franklin people. And going back to the leadership in athletics and how much of a plan was there and how much forethought goes into these decisions. As you know, I could have sat you down the day before James Franklin got fired. And I'm not super close to this. Obviously, I talk to people. I pay more attention than the average fan. But it's not like I'm inside the building. I'm not a quote unquote insider, right? But I could have given you a list and said, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. Revoke their key card access. And if they want to get their personal effects out of their office, you take a U-Park policeman in there with them to do it. And that list would have been pretty close to the one that we saw. Those guys ended up at Virginia Tech. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the fact that you didn't do that, the fact that you let the Wolves stay inside the henhouse for weeks shows me that, maybe the ship's not being run as tightly as we all hope it would be.
I don't think it is. Because you know that Kevin Threlkeld and Andy Frank, like, they are absolutely tied at the hip to James Franklin. There's not, like, they're his, GMs, player personnel, everything under the sun. Like, there wasn't a world where they weren't working for him.
Those guys were not out there, laboring for the glory of Old State, okay? So, that whole group, and I've heard varying things about all of them. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what kind of people they are or whether or not they're good at their jobs. It's to your point. They're Franklin guys, not Penn State guys. They are going wherever he's going. So if he gets fired, all of those dudes needed to be told, don't let the door hit you on the way out simultaneously to the firing of James Franklin. So
they were the memes calling Judas Mahone.
Yeah, right. But so why are we talking about this? Why are we still fixating on it other than the fact that it came up in the chat? Is that we're trying to pick apart how confident should we be in the way Pat Kraft is conducting this coaching search. And I'm now backwards engineering the way he handled step one of the process, which was getting rid of James Franklin, kind of uprooting a lot of the tendrils of the Franklin regime.
Yeah, his people were set in there. Like, that's a great way to put it. They were not Penn State people. They were James Franklin people. And you, as much as I understand, because I'll just tell you guys, like Andy Frank and Kevin Threlkeld, they run the logistics of everything, of the travel, of the day-to-day and all that stuff. So it probably would, and this is the reason probably why it didn't happen, because it would have been harder to do. The answer is it was just easier for Pat Kraft and company to just say, we got a lot of things going on. Just let them continue to do it. I don't care if they're double agents. It's too much work. That's the only excuse. That's the only excuse I can find, because that he's working. They're working for James. So the only excuse is I don't have enough. I don't want to get up and do it.
Someone's got to pack these boxes, and they're packing the boxes. So just let them go.
Oh, God. Oh, this is a good one. Candor Outdoors. I actually wanted to ask you this. He said, who stays with us? Thank you for the donation. Who stays with us? Troutwine, Poindexter, Hal, etc. He put Hagen's. I hope not.
You want to know a funny story about that? After the Peach Bowl, Kevin Horn, who has I don't know if he's come up in the chat yet. I'd be amazed if he hasn't. But
he had to.
So he basically, on the way back from that game, that really pissed a lot of people off. Because remember, that was the one where we were told everyone was going to play in it. People spent a lot of money, bought tickets,
Ole Miss,
hotels, everything. We went down to Atlanta. And then it's like right before the game, it's like, oh, yeah, by the way, the whole defense isn't playing. People were really salty. And Kevin said something like, they should leave Marcus Higgins on the tarmac or something on their way back to State College. And his wife followed him on Twitter after that. So,
no.
Yeah.
Oh.
So who are we keeping? Some of it depends on who the coach is, I think, probably.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
number one, does he have a guy he wants in that job? Number two, how comfortable are the guys going to be working for him? Because I would have to think at least Terry Smith, Anthony Poindexter, and Ty Howell, and possibly Phil Troutwine as well, will have jobs waiting for them in Blacksburg.
Oh, yeah.
You think all four of those guys for sure?
I think, yeah. James definitely wants them.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, there are a couple people, and I'm not going to name them, but
Trace
people that I've
McSorley.
talked to. Yeah. No, but I'm saying there's a couple people I've talked to that Franklin has very hard tried to get them to come, especially with that first group, and they said no. So there is a group of those people. So I just want to salute those people, won't name them, but you're appreciated if you're watching. So thank you for not going to the dark side.
And by the way, I hear you. If I had to work for James Franklin, I just had to watch him coach my team. If I had to work for that dude, just the amount of relief that I experienced the moment he was gone, I cannot imagine what it must feel like to not have to deal with him being your boss every single day.
Can you imagine, like I said, just being tied to him for life?
Yeah, no, I mean, these
guys.
people are serial killers. I don't know what to make of it. The only thing I will say is, depending on how the whole thing goes down, I don't want to see it, but I'm mentally preparing myself for the worst. This is what you do if you spent life as a Philadelphia sports fan. You learn that talent. You expect the worst, and then if you get better, you're pleasantly surprised. I am preparing for Terry Smith to go down to Blacksburg and eat our lunch for a decade the way Larry Johnson did when he went to Ohio State. And if he does it, I will be very sad. I'll be modestly disappointed, but I will understand it. And the vindictive part of me will kind of laugh a little bit.
I know. There's a piece of me that I can't say I'd enjoy that, but it'd be kind of funny.
Dude, I have such disdain and contempt for David Joyner that to this day, I still laugh a little bit every time LJ sticks it up our back end. I don't know what I can say to not get this thing demonetized.
Do you think, oh no, Terry wouldn't do that. He wouldn't go with him.
I think it all depends on how he feels he was treated. A lot of people say, oh, like LJ was never going to get the head coaching job. Yeah, that's correct. He wasn't. But I think he also felt like after everything he had done for Penn State and everything he had done as the interim to hold things together when Bill left, that he was just so disrespected as a man by Dave Joyner that when the opportunity to go with Urban Meyer was offered, that was a great job opportunity. But I also think he was highly motivated to just embarrass Dave Joyner many times as he could.
I'm sure and
I'm sure Terry's going to have a little bit of that depending on how this all goes.
I'm sure Terry has that. I'm sure Terry
I hope not,
feels.
man. I hope not.
I mean, I hope not too, but I'm sure that he definitely feels slighted. There's no way as a man you can't in that scenario, especially the way that he was representing Penn State. And I want to be clear, a couple people have said this. I don't think there's a world where Pat Kraft hires Terry Smith because that's an automatic. In my opinion, if you hire Terry Smith now, today, you're almost asking for to be fired if you're Pat Kraft to a degree. Because then it's like, why did you not do it when you had so much time? I'm just saying, it just looks.
Yeah.
You're admitting.
He missed his window.
Yeah, you're admitting that I just completely botched this search. If from here on out, if you hired him on Saturday or Sunday, you're completely fine. You're saved for a while, and you have a ton of support. But since you waited, it's over. Like that period is. I think he should. If he was gonna, he should have just done it after Nebraska. We would have been hoisting him up and just.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta be somebody who could sell ice to Eskimos just to roll out the head coach of BYU and look at everybody and with a straight face be like, and here it is, the plan I had all along. This person you've never heard of, right? Like I like Kalani Sitake, but again manage expectations. When Pat was at that podium, making everybody want to run through brick walls, no one was like, he is clearly telling us we are getting the head coach of BYU, right? No one was thinking that. And now, to imagine a scenario where all of that falls through and he's got to hire Terry Smith and be like, the guy we believed in all along, I mean, it's just a disaster. I have seen Brian Hartline's name mentioned a few times in the chat. It is interesting. Things have been very quiet on the Brian Hartline front. I mean, he's still out there.
The majority of the word out on that was that Pat Kraft wanted a proven head coach, that someone that had coached. And I think as you start to get more and more in need of someone to coach your football team, you're more likely to take whatever you can get. And I think he has to understand. I think Hartline. Judging from everything I've seen online, I mean, if he were to hire Hartline, Kraft is he's at least buying himself some time because that's going to be celebrated. That's going to be, all right, you saved it. We'll figure this thing out. But the longer this goes on, the Penn State job becomes less and less attractive. And talk about national perception. The longer we get clowned, and like Josh Pate is like putting out GIFs making fun of us, and he's on his race day. He's like, what's going to happen first? 500,000 subs on my YouTube channel, or Pat Kraft hires somebody. And I'm like, oh, great. We're the butt of every joke now. But the longer that goes on, that actually affects how people operate. That affects recruits. That affects coaches that want to come here. Sure. It affects a lot of things. If Kalani Sitake is hired, just to go all the way back, it is wildly important that you keep Terry Smith, Ty Howell. And if you aren't able to keep those guys that are really good in PA, really good in the DMV region, you have to hire people that are, have those very good, very deep Northeast recruiting ties. Because if you don't have that, boy, you're in trouble. I don't know. I don't know where this is going to go, though. I don't know. I have this weird feeling this is going to continue to stretch on to the weekend. It's only Tuesday. Every day feels like it's 48 hours, not 24 hours. That's kind of where I'm at this point. Yeah. I don't know if I have anything else, Booch.
I am, believe it or not, at this point, almost at a loss for words.
I'm burnt out. I'm really burnt out on this. I told you, I wasn't joking. I just want to cover football, guys.
Yeah.
You know I am. We have fun. Obligatory used to be where I go to just have some fun and just talk hypotheticals and talk trash and have fun. And now it's just every show. And God, I'm sick of it. I want to break down some transfer portal film and just help me move on. Pat Kraft, help me move on, please.
Yeah, I do think everybody at this point is just desperate for certainty.
Tony Rojas, too. He put out another tweet.
Yeah.
By the way, the linebackers are trolling us. We got Dakari Nelson. Amari Campbell's like, I need an agent right now. And then he was like, it's just an agent. I don't need. And I'm like, why would you need an agent? Oh, God, here we go.
We're addicted to stability at Penn State. It's been the identity of the program. And now we're the opposite of it. It's been going on forever. I think you see that in the degree to which people instantly almost embraced Sitake as a possibility. I got a text last night from one of my buddies, shout out Alex Smith. He said, why am I so irrationally angry that now we might not get a guy I hadn't heard of until today? Right? It just captured the moment for me. It's just, everybody is so ready for this to be over so we can start untangling the Gordian knot of this situation Penn State finds itself in. I just cannot understate the urgency of the roster situation. I think it's one of the things keeping some guys away. They're looking at it and saying, I don't even know what kind of a team I'm going to have. I said on the obligatory podcast that dropped today, get it wherever you get your fine podcasts, that if you think about the timing of the hiring of Bill O'Brien and the hiring of whoever's going to come in here now, when Bill got here in January of 2012, we're coming off the scandal and Joe had just passed, but we're still 6 months out from sanctions, free report, all of that stuff. Bill O'Brien walked into a more stable situation, a more favorable situation, probably than the guy we're going to hire in 2025 will. Because at least Bill knew who was going to be on his roster. He could introduce himself to those guys and understand that whether they liked him or not, they were going to show up for his strength and conditioning programming and go through spring ball with his coaching staff. There's a word for the whole thing. It starts with an F, and I can't say it because I can't get the feed demonetized.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, players are restless. I think that's a big thing. If you're not able to retain a lot of these guys and you're just it's a complete transfer portal team next year, I don't know, good luck. We'll cover it. Continue to come to For the Bloggy and the Land and Tangwell show. A lot of film breakdowns, a lot of things coming. We'll have videos out as this continues.
Brian Kelly.
Good God.
Listen, I'll just sell my tickets online. I'm not going to any games. Brian Kelly coaches at Penn.
Oh, no.
That's the line. That's the line right there.
No, you can't cross that line if you're Pat Kraft. Where we go from here, we are effed. No, I was kidding. We're fine. We're fluid. Yeah. We're going to be... Okay. We're going to be fine, right? Because we're Penn State. I remember you mentioning Lincoln Riley as a possibility a few weeks. Was he ever interviewed or just a smokescreen? No, I mean there was some interest there. It popped up and then it seems to have died down quite quickly. So I don't know if we were trying to get used for, once again, just get used and abused for another contract extension. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where we're at. Hopefully Pat Kraft can figure this out. If we have to wait until Sunday, please God help us. Don the Prophet, thank you for the donation. Can we agree that if we waited to fire Franklin until last Sunday, our class would be intact and we'd look a lot better? I don't know about that. I think it just would have happened so much quicker. And I think that's part of the reason that this is just like feeling, everybody is just, we all like attached to Sataki, and it was like, all right, we got our guy.
Yeah.
It was like, because we've just been this like beaten, bruised, like batter just fan base over the past 6 weeks. And it was like, oh my God, like we finally have a home, like any home. And then our home got re-snatched back out under us by the crumble cookie CEO.
Yeah, I think, again, going back to Pat's either a genius or a buffoon, look, if like he somehow is like, hey, everybody, I fooled y'all, it's Kalen DeBoer. then it's fine, right? Then it's fine that he fired James when he did, following the industry trend, which is get ahead of the market. But I do think the donor has a point that a lot of what has happened with the recruiting situation, which now feeds into the roster scenario we just discussed, is a result of the amount of time James has had to go out and work over these recruits in our class and get set up at Virginia Tech. The one thing I do just think about is how toxic it had become after that Northwestern game. Can you imagine the dude coaching for 7 more weeks?
No, that's my thing.
Know.
I mean, it would have been
tough to think about.
It would have been nasty. I mean, that would have gotten so nasty if James would have stayed around. I mean, we didn't have a home game for 3 weeks after Northwestern.
Think about the noticeable difference in the way the team played from Iowa on. If they just continued to play like they did in the non-conference schedule, we wouldn't have a single win, not one.
No, that's why anybody that says that, it's like, look, it wasn't going to happen. Pat Kraft still made the right move at that time. It just sucks that we did this in the year that is the worst year to be a part of the coaching carousel. It's the worst calendar ever. It's the craziest coaching carousel probably ever in college football. And unfortunately, we are a part of it, and I'm sad about it. But we'll keep you updated here. Check out the obligatory podcast. I will have something for you guys if anything comes out on whoever is going to be Penn State's the next head coach. I'm sure we'll continue to get Booch in here a lot. Love you guys. Go State. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.